Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. A very happy new year, very happy 2021 to everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Rocheston's Reinvent Conference. This time we're going to be focusing solely on penetration testing. Thank all of you for joining us. So we have a couple of very interesting sessions lined up for you, along with a whole bunch of very experienced speakers who are going to be covering various topics when it comes to penetration testing in the modern era. So how the conference is going to work is we have 3 days of a main conference where we're going to have various speakers coming in and experts on penetration testing coming in and talking about different topics about penetration testing. And then the last 2 days, we're going to have hands-on workshop sessions where we have a group of experts coming in and actually taking or conducting workshops on different penetration testing techniques. Some of the topics that are going to be covered over the first 3 days have to do with the rising mobile device security threats and the new defense techniques. This is more of penetration testing when it comes to mobile devices. Then there's another one: is your on-premises Active Directory getting old? How do you test for that? Then we have topics on cyber law, cyber climate prediction, threat hunting in the digital age. Configuring authentications and installing controls are a better alternative to expensive changeovers. Is there any attack surface that remains? Because most hackers and attackers these days have already discovered almost every single attack that exists. But with the evolving world of IoT, the number of connected devices in most organizations, whether it's your home, it's in your office, or any other premises where IoT devices are installed, each of those devices becomes a point of entry for an attacker. So how do you start testing for all of these devices? What are the different methodologies you employ when testing for a whole host of IoT devices? Then you have something called purple teaming, the best of red and blue team skill set. So it's not only red team, it's not only blue team, it's a mix of both that you need to build onto. Then real world experience and preparation of a penetration test. Multiple different topics, it's just a few that I've listed. Then we come to the workshops on day 4 and day 5. We have topics such as blockchain technologies, evolving threat landscape, adversary tactics, and combating with threat intelligence. And then we have understanding threat modeling methodology with OWASP, JuSharp apps. Now, these are just a couple of the topics that we will be going through with our panel of speakers over the next 5 days. So once again, on behalf of Rocheston, I would like to welcome all of you to our latest edition of Reinvent 2021, focusing essentially on red team and blue team penetration testing techniques. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our CEO, Mr. Vasanth Davis, who's going to give us the introductory and welcome address. Mr. Vasanth. Hi, Mr. Vasanth. Good evening. How are you?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Aditya, and to the rest of the world.
Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Vasanth. I'm going to hand the stage over to you to conduct the welcome address and the introductory address for this conference. With that, over to you.
Rocheston Reinvent 2021, the conference on red team, blue team, penetration testing techniques. We opened this conference today exactly 1 week after the 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century. Every event plays itself out twice. First, it is in the mind, and then it comes in flesh and bone, in reality. Rocheston first conceived the idea of a conference and workshop devoted to red team, blue team penetration testing techniques. And today, this conference and workshop is hitting the ground running. We have a veritable lineup of speakers and workshop resources who are like the who's who of the cybersecurity and the information technology world. Speakers who are in themselves the front runners in the research, development, the deployment, the enhancement, and continuous upgradation of the technologies in threat intelligence and risk mitigation. On behalf of Rocheston, our partnering universities, technology schools, institutions, government regulators, and agencies from several nations around the world, and this conference's sponsors, it is my privilege to welcome you to this virtual conference. Put your hands together, raise your hands, and click all the like icons that you have on your screens for the hackers, academics, faculties, the trainers, consultants, enterprises, governments, regulators, and cyber world experts as you join us as delegates in this, the 5th edition of reInvent from Rocheston. Welcome, a big welcome. Penetration tests are authorized attempts to hack and then gain access to organizations' data assets. Their purpose is to identify vulnerabilities so that they are detected, rectified well before any potential cyber attack. Cyber threats are constantly evolving, getting smarter and more sophisticated. The perimeter, as they say, is becoming increasingly difficult to enforce. We need security platforms that surround and protect our entire architecture, the core, the cloud, and the edge, to thwart attackers and mitigate threats wherever and from whenever they emerge. Security solutions are needed that will provide 24/7/365 protection for our websites, applications, APIs, and users. Penetration testing is about keeping the networks secure, and the demands are significant. We need workforces that are protected anywhere, on any device, digitized workplaces where every part of our infrastructure is safe and workloads are secured wherever they are running 24/7. Forrester released research that states that as much as 85% of security breaches involve internal threats. From an application security point of view, these internal threat agents are authenticated application users, technologies used to develop the application, and even open source code integrated into applications. Application security has been an uphill battle at many organizations, and the report on internal threats is merely a wake-up call that cannot be ignored. With a considerable number of the internal threats originating from applications, functional security testing is one of the most reliable ways to identify internal security vulnerabilities. Penetration testing seeks to evaluate the security posture using simulated attacks to identify and explore vulnerabilities. Most pen testing is done by experts using manual techniques, of course, supported by automated tools. In any penetration testing engagement, one of the most critical aspects is defining the scope. What networks, applications, databases, accounts, people, physical security controls, and other assets that could be fair game for the penetration testers to attack. Getting the scope right is to key in deriving maximum business value from the assessment. Likewise, defining the wrong scope can severely limit the usefulness of pen tests. Tests should have sufficient scope to tell you what you need to know about your controls and defenses, while maximizing the value of your limited resources. Pen tests usually center on answering a specific question. Is that sensitive data secure? Is this new web application secure? Is our patch management and asset management effective? Are we in compliance with the regulations that govern our systems? For mature organizations that have the basics of security covered, pitting your detection and incident response capabilities against a realistic external attack is a great way to find out if the data you think is protected is actually protected. You can work with the testing team to ensure they give your controls a workout. But don't waste time throwing every imaginable exploit at your defense. If you're less confident about your overall security posture, an internally focused readiness test that starts from an internal network can pinpoint what assets are most at risk from an attack that has breached your perimeter. This will help you prioritize critical areas for mitigation. Another scope question, especially for a simulated attack, is whether you want to provide the testers with information on the systems that they'll be attacking, white box testing, or let them start from the scratch, black box testing. Black box testing is more realistic, but arguably the opposite can also be true. While white box testing starts with the assumption that skilled hackers will find the data they need to launch an attack. This in many ways is a valid starting point for a rigorous, useful, and cost-effective pen test. Black box testing, on the other hand, can be more like a hide and seek, with more time and money spent finding than attacking. Teams that conduct penetration tests will have both a wealth of experience and a proven methodology, which will include first and foremost working with the organization to determine the best scope and approach for your engagement in line with your ultimate goal. Often the goal will be to learn or confirm where best to invest resources to prepare you for a real attack. This can include validating and raising a red flag to the management that known or anticipated weaknesses in areas like patching or employee security awareness do. Indeed, these could leave you vulnerable. Whatever your goals, defining the right scope upfront will largely determine how useful your pen test engagement will be. The floodgates are thrown now open for you to have an extremely engaging and valuable set of 5 days of listening to, learning, sharing, exchanging, and building on your competences and expertise in penetration testing techniques from Rocheston Reinvent 2021. Mr. Sunil Sobedar, Ms. Shweta Chawla, Mr. Ahmed Nabil Mahmood, Mr. Haja Moedin. We look forward to hearing you on this first day of this 5-day conference extravaganza. You see your face in a mirror and your thoughts in the mind of others. Congratulations and all the very best.
Hi, Mr. Vasanth. Thank you for that very inspiring welcome address. You really set the tone for some of the topics that are definitely very relevant when it comes to penetration testing. So with that, thank you so much for this welcome address. Thank you, Mr. Vasanth.
Thank you.